Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be testing Avatar Frontiers of Pandora on my 4080 Super. I'm going to be doing it at 4K at first, so we've got that set here. There's going to be no upscaling at first, but we will check out DLSS as well a little bit later. Graphics-wise, I've got the preset set to Ultra. The only thing I've changed, I think, is switch motion blur off, so we've got everything set to high or very high. We've got ray tracing set to very high here, and then the rest of the settings are there, so let's have a look at that. Okay, now we know obviously this game is super hard to run. I forgot how good the graphics were on this game. I've not played it in a while. Still need to complete it actually, but it's looking like we're getting about 40 to 50 FPS, kind of roughly what I thought we'd get. Not too dissimilar to the 4080. Shame we're not getting... You know, ideally you'd be more in the 50 to 60 range, I think. There's going to be probably some areas you might reach that, but most of this dense forest, dipping down here into the 30s. So that's not amazing. How many are there? Oh my god. Get the gun out. But GPU power-wise, obviously very heavy. Using over 300 watts here. VRAM as well, about 14.5, so not fully completely maxed out, but very high. I thought maybe this might break my GPU, but it's just about doing it. I know what would break this GPU. Doing it on unobtainium settings would probably break it. Almost definitely. We're getting dips down to 35 almost here. Take a look at these guys. Oh, there's quite a lot. I'm missing. Gun's a lot more powerful than the bow is. I'm going to now take a look with DLSS on. So I'm still at 4K with everything maxed, but I'm going to switch DLSS on here, and we're going to set it to ultra quality at first to see. We're probably not going to gain a massive amount of FPS, but I wanted to see if we could push 60. Probably going to be in the 50 to 60 range by the looks of it, and then you'll have to drop down to quality most likely to see 60. But this is obviously, you know, it's a bump in FPS, so you get slightly higher and you don't reduce the image quality that much. You're really probably not going to notice too much of a difference between native and ultra quality. I'll dipping down a little bit here into the 40s again, but it probably will hopefully stay around the 50 mark a little bit better. We've got an average of 51. I'm going to now take a look with DLSS quality. We should hopefully see DLSS quality here be above 60, which it looks like that's what we're getting. Getting about 70 FPS here, just over 70. I'll have a quick little run around. See if we get any big drops, but that's probably going to be the settings you'll have to run to get at least 60 FPS at 4K. But hardware-wise as well, GPU hardware, it's very, very similar again. Pretty much maxed out on VRAM. Power's not changed at all since at native. I'm now going to take a look with FSR3, so I'm still at 4K. We've got FSR set here with frame generation on, and we've got upscaling set to quality. We've also got all the graphics and everything still maxed out. So it's looking like we're getting over 100 FPS here, which is quite a big increase from when we had DLSS quality on. So frame generation here is probably giving us... You're looking at maybe a 40 to maybe even not 50 FPS. On the higher side. I think we had roughly an average of about 70 with DLSS quality, so I've got a good 50 FPS from there. I'll have a look through some of the forest areas. Might get some dips down close to 100, I think, but overall pretty good. GPU power wise, fairly similar, still at that 300 watts, so it hasn't really changed anything with that. I think it's brought my VRAM down a little bit. When I played for a little bit earlier, it crept up to about 15 and a half, so pretty much at that max. At the moment, it's looking about 13 and a half. So it might be maybe slightly lower with FSR 3 on. So yeah, but dipping down to closer to 100 here, so... I'm now going to take a look at 1440p, so I've got that set here. I'm not going to be using any upscaling at first, but I will test DLSS out just after. Graphics-wise, we've still got everything maxed out, so it's set to the Ultra preset still, so ray tracing and stuff is on. Hopefully shouldn't get any dips under 60. I do definitely think this card, if you do have ray tracing on, it's definitely going to be more aimed at 1440p to do above 60. The games we've seen so far, at least, have definitely shown that. So it can't quite hold. It can get 60 in some areas at 4K depending on the game, but it seems to dip under a fair bit at native at least. So 1440p I think is definitely going to be the way to go there. Power-wise, looks very similar to 4K to me, still at that 300 watts or just over. I'm now going to take a look at DLSS quality, so we've got that set here. Should get, hopefully, quite a big increase of FPS from where we were. So we had about 70 to 80 FPS at native 1440p, and now look like we're getting about 130 here. So probably an average of maybe an increase of about 40 FPS at least, and then in some bits slightly more. So definitely pushing that. If you had a 144Hz monitor here, you're definitely pushing closer to that. I'm going to get attacked by these things. Probably going to need my gun out.
That's a lot of ferals. Need to look for others.
I'm now going to take a look with FSR 3, so I've got that switched on here. I've got frame generation on, and then I've got the upscaling set to quality. So this is a big increase of frames here. Hitting over 200 FPS. Some dips down slightly here, 180, 190. But considering we had 120, 130 with DLSS quality, this is a good increase of frame rate. I am noticing with frame generation on this game, it does drop my GPU usage a little bit, so we no longer get it really maxed out at 99%. You can see that here, it's dipping down to about 90%, 91%. Power on the GPU's down a little bit too, so we're down under 300 watts now. Not massively, but maybe, you know, 10 watts or so. VRAM as well, maybe down slightly, but it's not massive difference. I'm getting some dips down here, closer to 100 and 150, 160. So definitely some dense areas in the forest where I'm going to get some dips down, but then other areas you could hit over 200. I'm also going to have a look at 1080p, so we've got that set here. I don't have any upscaling or anything like that on, so we're at 1080p native. Graphics-wise, still got everything completely maxed out, so we've got ray tracing and everything on as well. I was mostly just curious to see what the performance would be like at 1080p. Seems like we're getting about 120 here, average of 121. GPU power as well, pretty much the same. It's been the same across all resolutions, 4K, 1440p, 1080p. It's been about 300 watts. Across the whole spectrum of that. Doesn't seem to change much. Only time I've seen it come down is when using upscaling. Obviously VRAM's down a little bit here, down another gig. Seems like it's holding above 100. Shouldn't see too many dips below that, even in the forest area there. Doesn't seem to really drop down too much. We're still at 1080p here, but I'm going to take a look with FSR 3. So we've got frame generation on and upscaling set to quality. Seems like we're getting about, well, we're getting about 240, 250 FPS, which is quite a lot. I was also curious to see the GPU usage, because I know I mentioned it earlier. It seems to drop down when I have frame generation on FSR 3. So I wanted to see how much that is affected by having it at 1080p as well. It seems like it is a little bit lower. We had about 91, 92% GPU usage, getting a bit more dips down to seeing 89% a little bit. So maybe it's ever so slightly lower, but obviously not a massive difference. But it seems to be roughly holding above 220, I'd say. We've got an average of 227. Slight dips that's going to be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you next time.